please help me welcome Ryan Coonerty.
So I want to sort of Google Maps style zoom out here to out of Santa Cruz and back to the globe and talk a little bit about a trend I see and why it's important that Santa Cruzans understand it, take advantage of it, and how it's going to affect your lives. So, and this is the theme of our book, The Rise of the Naked Economy, and don't worry, we all keep our clothes on, especially me. The good times when this book came out, they wanted to do a story, and they were like, you and Jeremy should pose naked with the books, strategically covering key parts. And both of our wives were like, you think you're going to sell a lot of books by making people nauseous? So I know. Welcome to my life, right? But when we're talking about the naked economy, we're talking about what we think is the next revolution or evolution in the economy that's going to be hugely disruptive, potentially painful, potentially profitable, and potentially an opportunity to what Richard Florida, an economist in Toronto, says will be the first time in human history that we can align our humanity with our economy. And what we're seeing is that the traditional economy that many of us have lived in, that many people in the audience may have experienced, where you go, you get a job, you work at that job for, if not a career, then 5 years, 10 years. They provide you with health care, an office, retirement benefits, two weeks of vacation a year, 2 weeks of flex time. We see that going away. And while it was nice while it lasted for some people, it is gone. And let me give you a couple statistics to give you an idea. There's an estimate that by 2020, and they actually think it's going to be sooner, 40% of the American workforce will be contingent or part-time workers. Basically, half of the workforce will not have traditional jobs. The number, and then in our business and towards the co-working space, as employment has recovered somewhat from what Margaret talked about, the Great Recession, office space vacancy is actually increasing. So you have more people going back to work, but they're not going back to work in an office. This has, we think, a profound impact and could have a chance to reorder our society. In the past, we all needed to be in one place at one time in order to create goods and services for a global economy. Now, because of three big factors, we don't, right? The first is technology. There are people probably conducting large global deals from their phones as we speak. We are now able to work anytime in a number of ways from anywhere, and we're also able to break up tasks through Mechanical Turk and a bunch of other ways. So the nature of work is no longer, as my business partner Jeremy says, work is no longer a place, it's a verb. You're just going to work, you're not going to a specific place to work. Second thing is you have demographics. You have the largest segment of the population, baby boomers, aging out of the workforce, but either because they want to or they have to, they're going to stay engaged, right? But they're not going to work the same way. They have grandkids to take care of. They have parents to take care of. They want to be semi-retired. They want to travel. They want to do a lot of different things. They want to have second careers or volunteer. So they're going to stay in the workforce, but they're going to do it under different rules. At the same time, their grandkids, the Millennials, if survey after survey has said that they are going to pick quality of life over virtually every other indicator, income, mobility, mentorship, all those other things that other generations have prized. So they're going to, and they are looking at this economy and saying, no company is going to take care of me over the long term. I don't need to take care of that company, or I don't need to work for that company. They're going to work totally differently. And what they say is, yes, because of my phone, I will be able to answer emails at 10 o'clock on a Friday night, but that means if at 2 o'clock on a Tuesday afternoon, I want to go surfing, I want to do something else, I'm going to do that. So you have the largest population segment, the most creative population segment, saying we're going to work differently. You add into that young parents who are trying to figure out a way to stay in the economy and work differently. And now you have the vast majority of the population. So you have technology, you have demographics, and then you have the economics where companies are figuring out a way to basically externalize all their costs onto their employees. Whether it's the $70,000 a year that most companies pay to provide you with an office, which is the building itself, the janitor, the security, the insurance, the parking space. And they're figuring out a way to shift that cost, or what they're doing with healthcare, or what they're doing with your retirement plans, and all those things. This is a scary proposition. It's a scary proposition when you think about your kids and what your grandkids will be facing. But it's also a huge opportunity. And I think what you're hearing tonight when you hear from all these speakers is it's an opportunity for Santa Cruz to be on the cutting edge. For years, people in Santa Cruz have figured out a way to prosper and make a living when there haven't been large traditional companies to take care of you, right? And you've heard this time and time again tonight with people taking different paths, using their skill sets in different ways. We are going to have to develop entirely new policy structures going forward to provide people with a safety net. We're going to have to provide new business platforms that allow people to thrive and prosper. Kickstarter is a great example of a way that we've changed the nature of finance. NextSpace is an example of how we changed the nature of the workplace. We have a lot of opportunities. What Chris is doing and Margaret did with job training and education is an entirely new way of doing education, but that'll be the norm rather than the exception going forward if we're smart about it. Santa Cruz is in a perfect opportunity. I think the rest of the world saw us as a little kooky when we were into organics or we were into lifestyle sports. The rest of the world eventually catches up and figures out that we were right. The people who in this town, and we have one of the highest percentage of home businesses anywhere in the country as a percentage of our population, people in this community have figured out how to work and prosper differently, and they have the skill set. In our book, we pull out a lot of Santa Cruzans, and I'll pull out just one small example. We talk about the need for the super specialist, or the opportunity for a super specialist. Jay Nichols, who lives up the coast, and many of you may know Jay, is the world's expert on sea turtles. 10 years ago, 20 years ago, 30 years ago, you would get the one job at Scripps being the sea turtle guy. He says, that's not the kind of life I want to lead. That's not the kind of impact I want to have. So what he does is he creates his own nonprofit. He gets his own grants. He teaches his own courses. He's a model for the Gap. It helps to be really good looking. And he does all this, and he pieces together a life where he has a much bigger impact on the sea turtle population. He's traveling globally. He's in Bulgaria, according to his Facebook page right now, talking about sea turtles. Traveling globally, making an impact on the environment, and he's also able to live just north of Davenport and lead the kind of life he wants to lead. He's a perfect example for somebody who found a specialty in a global economy and was able to exploit it, and we have those people here in the room tonight. So as you think about what you're hearing tonight, as you're hearing about these people, and what you are hearing maybe as you think, wow, these people, they're either extraordinary or they're much bigger risk takers than I would be. I think a lot of us have traded our freedom for a false sense of security, right? In this new economy, you will not, just because you show up to a big office building for a big Fortune 500 company, you do not have this, you have actually less security than the folks up here who are piecing together 2 or 3 different gigs, who are at least responsible for their own opportunities and are making their way in the world today. So when you see this, think of them as when you hear these folks, think of them as the model. Think about how this community can come together, because in this new economy, if we're all left to our own devices, it's a race to the bottom. If we all come together and come up with some good policies and good strategies, we can conquer the world. And I think Santa Cruz is perfectly positioned to be a leader going forward in this new naked economy. And I hope and I look forward to working with all of you to make this the kind of town where we're aligning our humanity with our economy. Thanks so much.